and continue to grow and develop yourself every day, because leadership isn't something that you just attain and it's the end of it. It's something that continues to evolve in you, and there's always something new to learn in that space to help yourself be a stronger leader and to empower others, maybe in different ways than you've done in the past. But learn from each situation that you are a leader in and try to take those lessons to the next leadership opportunity and really apply them and learn new ones every day.
Do you want to become a better business leader, either as an individual, for your team, or organization? If so, then this is the episode for you. Our next guest has over 20 years experience in the consumer goods industry, where she had the opportunity to have increasing leadership roles in sales, supply chain, and global leadership roles in information technology. Having seen the benefits of being a coach in her own career and how the process transformed her personally, the results she attained by working with coaches has far outsurpassed what she could have done working on her own. She now coaches others on leadership as well.
Welcome to the Laws of Business podcast. Here, we will share the skills you need to make your business a success. Learn about goal setting, productivity, time management, marketing, and much more. Hear inspiring stories with today's best business leaders and join a hub of thousands of passionate entrepreneurs across the world. And now, here's your host, Jamil Jama.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Law of Business podcast. I'm your host, Jamil Jama, and today we have a real special guest talking about leadership, Susan Barber. Susan Barber is an accomplished executive coach, leadership development facilitator, and information technology and consumer goods business leader. She spent 20 plus years in the consumer goods industry as an IT and leadership executive. She left her corporate career to become a leading executive coach who partners with business professionals to accelerate their results by building confidence and enhancing their leadership skills. It's a real pleasure to welcome Susan Barber. Susan, I want to thank you so much for coming on a podcast to share your story and to teach us about leadership.
Well, thank you for having me, Jamil. It's great to be here.
Before we start the interview, Susan, I always ask every guest this question. What is your backstory? You've got 20 plus years experience, right? Is it in leadership or in entrepreneurship in general? What is your backstory from when you started into where you are right now?
So actually I worked in a corporate environment for about 25 plus years, and I worked in everything from sales to distribution, customer service, and ended up over half of my career in IT. And as part of that, I got to do some other cool things around leadership development. And I started a women's employee resource group. I led some managers' learning communities. And I realized how much I really enjoyed all of the things around leadership development that weren't even my day job. So when I got an opportunity to leave my organization due to a merger, I decided that I had already started the coaching path and decided that I wanted to try to do this as a full-time thing. And so I started my own business a couple years ago and have been really excited to work with different individuals and teams and organizations to really help them learn all the possibilities of their own leadership.
That's a great story, Susan. And Susan, today we're going to be talking about leadership. You're a leadership coach right now. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to be interviewing you about leadership because all entrepreneurs are leaders. So you can't be a successful entrepreneur if you're not a good leader. So my first question for you, but to become a good leader, you need to have a good coach. Leadership is also a skill, right? It's something that you develop. It's something that you learn, right?
Yeah, I think there's some people who have some natural ability to be leaders, but I think it's about how to kind of take that leadership and hone it in a way that you can be a good leader of people and be able to motivate them and get things done through others. That's usually a challenge a lot of my clients face. They're used to being individual contributors, and they haven't yet changed their mindset into, I no longer am the person who does things, I am the person who gets things done through others. And I think that same thing applies for entrepreneurs as well. Even though you may not have a team of people, there are people that you can potentially outsource some of the work that you shouldn't be doing anymore as you progress in your own business. So maybe outsourcing some of your invoicing or outsourcing some of your administrative activities or your website activities that really probably are not as value added for you to do anymore. But when you started, that's, you were the only person, you were a team of one. So you had to do that. So I think it applies, in both situations, and it's just being mindful of that and trying to make those decisions at the right time for you as an entrepreneur.
Yeah. And leaders are not born, they are made.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody needs a coach as well. Even Warren Buffett still has a coach, even though he's a billionaire.
Right.
He still has a coach, and he's a billionaire. He's a billionaire as well.
I'm sure his billionaire coach, his coach is doing well too.
So, but it's important who you learn from. Who do you learn leadership from as an entrepreneur?
A lot of times it's working with other people who may be ahead of you in your business. So the things that they're doing that you want to be doing, learning from them, and trying not to just try to forge the path all by yourself. Try to connect with those people who are maybe 2 or 3 steps ahead of you and can really mentor and guide you into the things that you want to be able to do. And then I also have a group of people that are other coaches, and we meet every other week and just share different ideas, things that we're working on, how we're, connecting with clients, different activities or things that we've done with clients that may be helpful to each other. So we really have formed a really great group of people that just care about each other's success, and we're really trying to help each other, lead in a different way as a group.
And Susan, what is the main point of a leader? Is it to boss people around, to bully people, to beat people, shout at them?
No, I would say
that. What is the main point of a leader? What is the main point of a leader?
That would not be my favorite definition right there. I would say it is more about trying to inspire people, to motivate them, to show them what's possible for them, to develop them. And, the definition of a leader is having people follow you. And if you are a bully and if you are not respectful to other people, you're generally not going to have a whole lot of people want to follow you down that path. So in my experience, the people that I have worked with and the people that were on my team, I really took the time to get to know them, to understand what happens to them inside and outside of work, what they care about, what they want to do with their careers, where they want to go. And I think that goes a long way with helping people build relationships, and for them to know that I'm authentic and that I care about them and that I really want to see them succeed. And because of that, I think, many of them in the projects and the different things that we worked on, they would have done almost anything, to make sure that we were all successful. So I think those are things that you really need to think about as a leader and be able to put that in practice for yourself if you aren't already doing it.
Yeah, so true leaders have a following, but they also create followers as well, right?
Correct, yeah.
That's awesome. And my next question for you, Susan, is which is more important for being a leader, knowledge or being loved and respected by your followers?
Wow, interesting question. I don't know if I would say the latter. I would say actually being loved and respected. I don't know if I would use loved, but being definitely respected, because you can be a leader and go into an area that you really don't have a ton of knowledge about and be able to lead people through that because of your experience. And in some ways, I think it's almost better that you don't have a ton of knowledge about the content that's happening in that area, because it allows your team to really rise to the occasion, be able to lead the things that they're doing because they do have the knowledge. And they're just looking to you to help to remove obstacles and to help develop them in other ways that, maybe they need to do, around executive presence or, leading presentations or leading their own teams. So I think there's a lot to be said for not necessarily knowing all of the content, but being able to be a good leader means that you shouldn't even have to know that. You obviously need to know enough to be able to be successful and to manage your own organization and the teams above you. But I would say that it's more about the respect that you have as a leader and making sure that your team sees that.
Definitely. And then Susan, everybody goes through obstacles. Every organization goes through obstacles. What does a good leader do to overcome obstacles in their business or in their personal life?
Well, a lot of times I think it actually comes down to the relationships that you have. Maybe it's an obstacle that you're not sure how to solve. So leveraging other people and asking for help is a lesson that I learned that has been invaluable to me. I think it's one that a lot of people are a little leery of doing sometimes. They feel the need to solve the problem themselves, and so it takes them longer. Where if you could reach out to someone else who has the ability to help you, it's a much faster turnaround. And you're going to learn from that person, and that person may be a relationship that you can, continue to have and grow from, and maybe you can help them along the way too. And I think just helping people remove obstacles when they're struggling in general is really one of the key things that a leader needs to do. It just shows that you really are invested in everyone's success and that you want them to be able to move forward if they're having a challenge.
Yep. So leadership means facing challenges head on.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That's a quote I
just came up with, huh?
I didn't come up with it. It's a quote I just found, basically.
Oh, okay.
And challenges are what make life interesting, and overcoming them is what makes life meaningful. That's a quote by Joshua J. Marine.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another good leadership quote. And Susan, this question may be controversial to some people, but I have to ask this question because the home is where the heart is, or the home is everybody's castle, right? What does leadership in the home look like, or should look like? Because that will affect how you run your business. If your house is in a mess, your business is going to be in a mess. If your house is good, your business is going to be good. That's what I believe anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, I definitely believe that there is a lot of, especially if you work out of your home, that is a challenge that you need to really tackle head on. I have done that over the past few years myself, just trying to make the house a better place. We had a lot of remodeling we had to do, and and we'd been putting it off, and it was a great opportunity for me to do that when I left my job. And so it's really a place that I like to be now. And I think it helps, especially when you're working from home every day. You want to be in a good place, and you want to be able to be happy while you're there. So if that means cleaning out some stuff and getting rid of some stuff, I think you'll feel lighter and feel like you've got more space to be creative when you do that.
Susan, I meant the people in the home.
Right. Well, I was getting to that next.
Okay.
So I think that's also a big piece of it, is that there are leaders in the home at different times. So there may be things that I'm leading. There may be things my husband's leading or my children are leading. But I think the important point is to all be moving in the same direction. So everybody understands kind of the vision of where you're going, and whether that means supporting them in what they're doing, or they're supporting me in what I'm doing. But I think we all have opportunities to be leaders in a home just as much as we do in an organization or in a business.
I don't know your age. I can't ask you your age. That's a good question. But I'm guessing you're older. I'm guessing you're not in your 20s anymore.
No, not unless I started working as a baby, bro.
Okay. So, Susan, what would you tell yourself about preparing for leadership? What would you tell your earlier self, like when you was in your 20s, about preparing for leadership with the skills and knowledge you have now?
I think one of the biggest things is that when I was younger, I felt like I had to know all the answers as a leader, and I needed to do everything myself, like I mentioned earlier. And I would say to those out there who are at that point, don't feel that that's true for you either. You can ask for help at any point along the way, and it will probably help you a lot faster. And it's really a sign of strength, not a sign of weakness. And I think it's just being open to listening to feedback, knowing that you don't have to have all the answers to lead a team, knowing that you know way more than you probably realize you do, and continue to grow and develop yourself every day, because leadership isn't something that you just attain and it's the end of it. It's something that continues to evolve in you, and there's always something new to learn in that space to help yourself be a stronger leader and to empower others, maybe in different ways than you've done in the past. But learn from each situation that you are a leader in, and try to take those lessons to the next leadership opportunity and really apply them and learn new ones every day.
Definitely, Susan. And Susan, if anybody wanted to learn more about leadership from yourself, where can you be contacted?
So they can go to my website, which is susanmbarber.com. I do a leadership blog if anyone's interested in receiving that. I send that out every weekday morning, so they can sign up for that on my website. And I also have a Facebook group called Creating Leadership Connections. You can get to it through creatingleadershipconnections.com. And that is a Facebook group for leaders to really get together, share information, learn from each other, and be inspired by other leaders who may have done something that you're willing to, connect with them and network with them and learn from. And there are leaders in that group from all different industries. So it's a really great opportunity to have a safe space to ask questions, etc.
Awesome. And I'd just like to end with a quote, leadership is a challenge to be something more than average. So if you want to be more than average, be a leader.
Right. And you got to work at it.
Definitely. And Susan is a great person to learn from. She's got a lot of experience. She's given you her contact details. So if anybody wanted to contact Susan, they know where to find her. And Susan, I want to thank you again so much for taking your time out to do this interview.
Thank you for having me.
And I want to thank all the listeners for tuning in. If you found value in this interview, if you enjoyed this interview, please share. If you know anybody that this interview would benefit, please share it with them. Also, please leave a comment in the comment section, and also please subscribe. And I'm your host, Jamil Jama. This is The Law of Business, and that was Susan Barber. Thank you all very much for listening.
Thanks for listening to the Laws of Business podcast. Find out more about us on thelawsofbusiness.com. Thank you for being a part of our journey.